Demonstrating our framework will be our Director of Consulting Services, Clemente Beltran, and one of our more senior consultants, Dominique Labrec, whom both specialize on the topic of automation. Our President, Terry England, will be presenting an introduction and our value proposition, how we can help as an organization for your automation and performance testing requirements, challenges, initiatives, and objectives. So without further ado, I introduce you to our President, Terry England.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. I will simply take maybe 5-10 minutes of your time to explain to you who we are for those who don't know us as yet. So the name of the company is Pegazy Technology. We're specializing in strictly two things, which is quality and performance. We've been around for quite some time, since 2001. We have presence on mostly the Northeast, but we also have an office in Calgary. So we work with different vendors. So we're well known to work with HP because of our presence in the financials. But we also work with other tools such as IBM, SAP, also a little bit of freeware such as Selenium and so on. But we'll go into more detail in regards to technology at a later point. We are very well known for our toolkit, the quality of our toolkit and our people. So actually that's the purpose of the presentation today, is to show you what is our most recent toolkit that we have in place, which is the automation framework with ALM and any other automation tools, or a lot of other tools out there. So this is some of our customers, just to give you a gist of where we're present. And so as I was saying, we do QA. We're QA practitioner. I know today we'll be talking about automation, and we'll be focusing about automation, but keep in mind that in order to do automation efficiently, you have to have certain processes in places. And we work with those activities, and you see at the screen on a daily basis. So I don't want to go too much in detail on those, but depending on the type of customer we work with, we seek for different objectives. Sometimes when we work for government, we're looking to capture the business knowledge of some people that's going to retire within the next few years. When we work with banks, it's always about improving quality, coverage, and decreasing risk. But most organizations we work with, they all seek for improving their time to market, and that is something that we're very good at. So that's about it. The framework we'll be talking about today, we call it the HP, but it's really the ALM, because ALM is the test management tool of HP that is quite popular and affordable as well. Can integrate with a lot of different tools, and in a very neat manner. You'll see that the main value proposition we have to offer are around speed. So there's nothing like the way we work with the tool in terms of speed. There's also the ease of use. You can have a lot of different people creating test cases that don't know anything about ALM or automation. So the knowledge on automation is very minimal. Actually, it's almost none. You always need some technical resource to do the scripting, but in the ecosystem, we decrease that dramatically. So, and it eliminates a lot of complexity. We've been working with those tools for the last, like I was saying, the last 14, 15 years. So we won award for different reasons on different components of ALM. So we know what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and we're very proud of what we achieved lately. Not only the way we work with the tool, but also we developed some utilities that help improving the utilization of the tools as well. So the concept of what we will present today is quite simple. Let's say you have a baseline of 3 transactions. We'll keep it simple today. And we have creation of an order, delete an order, update an order. What we were able to do is to build a command collection in which you will reference every different command within one collection. So whenever you have to do modification to, let's say a login, you want to add a domain name to it, well, you can go in this reference, change it, and it will get pushed throughout the entire baseline. So the value of it is documentation-wise, we all know most documentation around test cases are obsolete or not accurate, or we're always struggling doing that. People don't like to do that. It's a fastidious job. So this helps dramatically decrease the time that is required to be invested in this. And there's also the value of using an ecosystem that makes sure everybody understands what goes into each box, right? So the dependency towards technical resources dramatically reduce. And there's two things you have to keep in mind when you embark on an automation project. Is number one is the maintenance time. You got to make sure that the maintenance of those scripts will be easy, will be also very efficient. This is the number one cause of failure on automation project. So this clearly is aligned with this. And the other portion is also, you don't want to depend on technical resource too much where they would script an end-to-end transaction. Whenever they will leave, you will lose the knowledge and the investment that you've done in those assets. So the way of working with the tool that you see on the screen is avoid those two pitfalls. So again, there's the concept of what we're about to present is what we call logical test automation. So it pushed one step further the typical physical test automation, and we can get quite a bit of substantial savings by working this way. Without any further ado, I'll pass it along to Clemente, who will give you, Clemente and Dominique, who's going to give you an overview of how this thing works. So.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. I'm going to show you right now a small movie that basically presents you the concept of the framework. Basically, what we have here, and I'm just to show you, this is HPALM, where we have all our test automation scripts. The concept that we have in our framework is to create what we refer to as logical scripts. What I mean by this is that you do not need to create a physical automated script to execute it. In the old standard ways, most automation teams create one physical script and they have to maintain it, and then create another one and create another one. This leads you to a large number of test scripts that have to be created and maintained. They become expensive. You need resources to actually be able to create them and maintain them. And every time you have to create a new test, you need an automation developer to create a new one. So what we have done here, we have moved away from physical scripts to logical scripts. And what I'm showing here on the screen is we have in the test lab of HPALM, for those of you who are familiar, is where we have a particular container or a test set that will contain one single script, the WPF_flight application. This is one single script. But what we have created using what we call the column for name, this is what we refer to as the logical scripts. Each logical script will contain a set of commands and set of data that will be executed to target a particular business requirement or a business flow or a functionality. So here, effectively, what you have is one single script, but you have many different configurations or business requirements that you're going to meet. So basically, this will reduce the time it takes to create a test and to maintain it. Why? Because you only have one to maintain. So, and here you can actually execute all the different tests and meet all your requirements. Okay? And just to show you that we have a large number of test cases here that are all associated to one physical test. Now we're going to go to the test plan to show you how the script looks like. Here is, again, one single script, and we have all these different test configurations that address different business rules. But the actual script is a one line of code that basically executes, and all the code, all the functions, all the methodology is behind the scenes. So you don't have to create that many tests, and I will show you how we do that. So here we have all these different scenarios, different type of behavior, insert order, update order, delete, international flight, domestic hold, and so on. And the beauty of this is that all these test cases are actually created in something similar to a spreadsheet. And in this spreadsheet, you can see that we have basically different scenarios, and we have a collection of the commands. Now, as you can see, we have columns for command and data. And these columns basically are the functions that will get executed by the automation tool, which can be UFT or Selenium or something else. Also, something I like to show you here is that the business scenarios that we're covering, some of them can be short, like in this example, they end in command 7, and some of them can be a bit longer and go all the way to command 9. So it gives you the flexibility to create test cases by adding one single row of information in this Excel sheet to address a particular business scenario. Each row represented here is a different business requirement that you are testing or a business functionality. So imagine how efficient this is when it comes to actually create new tests. To create a new test is basically creating one single line of information with data and the commands.
Like other than provincial third parties?
So Manitoba help will not be there.
And also, we can have traceability between the test configurations and requirements using HPALM. As you can see here on the screen, we have for every single test configuration in the bottom of the screen, we have different entities that are associated. So you can actually have your traceability between a business scenario and a requirement. This is a nice feature to have because that way you can make sure that every single scenario is being tested. Now we go back to the test lab, and in this case, we're going to be able to see the different statuses. We have test cases that fail, some test cases that are executed, and we're going to be able to see the report. Many of the issues that we have with test automation is that the reports are hard to understand. So as part of the framework, we can see that the transactions, 2 transactions fell here, and some of the other passed, and we can actually see a summary of what was executed, just the upper layer of the command. Which transaction was successful, which one failed, and we have details about the data that was used and what was validated and the information that was obtained. All this is available in a format that business users or manual testers can understand. In the case of a failure, we also include more information, which include a snapshot of the screen to make sure that people are able to determine what was the problem. This is to basically reduce the time and effort that manual testers have to spend to understand what happened when they run their execution of the test. Now we're going to run just a small sample of how fast this utility is and how it executes. So this test is going to run 2 iterations, and it's using one of the HP products, which is Unified Functional Testing. It's a test automation tool from HP that supports many different technologies between web, SAP, Civil, and so on. In this case, we're running a Windows Presentation Foundation application, and basically it's creating some orders and trapping information and generating results. And basically the test passed, and then we'll take a look at some of the information generated by the results. Now what we're going to see is an attachment that we create, and this file contains all the results from that particular collection of tests that we executed. It accumulates all the results and provides you all the information as to when it was executed, what scenarios were executed, and how many iterations were executed. And as you can see, it highlights some of the tests that have already encountered some failures. Now here you can select the information that you want to see. And as you can see here, we have 2 tests that fail, and they provide you with all the information as to where they fail. So we have different iterations. In this particular example, we have a test that ran 25 iterations, and 2 of them fail, and it's telling you which step failed or transaction, and it will tell you what was the error generated during that execution. Again, the idea of this approach is to minimize the time that you use to debug, gives you all the information in one single shot, and you can generate reports for your test manager or project manager as to what was executed in a few seconds. As you saw, we opened the Excel sheet, and we can filter this right away and find all the information that we need. And this is a cumulative, basically contains all the tests that were executed within that particular collection of test cases and scenarios. So everything is there. Okay, and now we're going to pass, if you don't have any questions at this point, we're going to pass the control to my colleague Dominique, and he's going to show you 2 other scenarios that we have with the framework.
Hi, this is Dominique speaking. So I'm going to present you a video of a benchmark that we did with against the business components framework. So basically, the example here is 4 tests of each kind of framework. The first one will be with business components, and the second one, the first one is business components, and the second one will be with Pegasus framework that we developed. Each test contains 3 iterations each. The business components test contains up to 30 components inside the test. So let me start it. You have a stopwatch at the bottom right corner, so you can follow the time it needs to execute. Let's start it. So when we start the business components framework, you can see that there is a lot of overhead to download each time. There are a lot of assets inside each components used inside the test. So each and every component needs to be downloaded to UFT in order to be executed again. So each example will have UFT not launched, so it's going to be launched as well. So you can see that it's downloading resources in the process. And here you can see that the time stops because I just want to tell you that the time stops because it's UFT that's taking all the CPU power. So, but it's still running in the background. Time is right, but it ends. It stops for the front end. So again, we're doing just a simple test to get the flight with the flight sample application, and we're validating the total. We're getting the information from the UI, and we're doing it a few times. And we're trying to see here a difference in the timing against the business components and Pegasus framework. So I'm not going to present you the whole thing so I'm going to fast forward most of them. I don't want to lose your time. And so each and every iteration is mostly the same with different data. And you can see that here for one of the execution of one test, I've allowed the UFT to be on top, and you can see that it's downloading, it's opening one component each one at a time. So that's one of the particularity of the UFT, the business component framework. So, and this takes a lot of times. You can see that after 6 minutes, 7 minutes, it's going to take up to 8 minutes to execute 4 tests with 3 iterations each. So that's 12 iterations with a simple test, a really simple test. And I'm just going to wait for the whole thing to stop. Loading the report. So the real time is 8 minutes and 18 seconds. This was with business components. Now let's go with Pegasus framework. Pegasus frameworks is exactly the same 4 scenarios with the exact same user actions. Let's start this. Again, UFT was not pre-launched, so the same environment is used for each example. And you can see as well that with this framework that in the first test, when it's connecting, it doesn't have to download a lot of assets from the business components. It's already running, and it's already running after 30 seconds. And if you notice with the business components framework, it was running the first iteration after 1 minute or more. So it's doing basically the same thing, same action, validation. And I'm going to fast forward the whole thing. You can see here when UFT is is in the front, you can see that it's only the one-liner that we showed before, that Clemente showed you before. So the activities in UFT to do, he can execute the code faster. This is the last test, and this is the last iteration, and you can see that the time is almost is below 5 minutes, and it's going to stay below 5 minutes. So all the test runs are passed. And bottom line, so with business components, it took 8 minutes and 18 seconds, and with Pegasus framework, we did the exact same thing in under 5 minutes. So that's a difference of 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and it's 40% faster. Now I would like to present you a video of the use that we do of our but before that, the video will be about the UI that we created to generate test cases in a very efficient manner.
Okay.
So we'll continue with the next video, which is a presentation of the UI that the application that we programmed in-house in order to facilitate the creation of test cases. So as you've seen, the test cases are each rows inside the data table, and it's a collection of commands and data. So this is the main window that you will use in order to create your test case. So you can create a new test case, you can open old test case file and modify them. You can save as. You can create new tests and delete and copy selected test cases, and you can update commands. So we'll all see how it goes inside this video. So if I want to create a new test, I select this and I get the command editor. So inside this view, you can see a list of the commands that we provided for the application, the flight application. These commands will be replaced by the collection of commands for your application that we'll program. And it also comes with common libraries with common functions that gives you a head start in your in your framework implementation. So let's start with let's create a basic test with launching the application, log in with username and password. So each time you select the command here, you see the command name, the version, the description of the command, and you also see for each parameter needed, required for the command, you see a description of the parameter and the data type that you need to enter. So this is to select a flight in a future date and between a city from and a city to. And you just add commands like this in a really easy. Let's just build our first test with this. Some commands don't need parameters, so you'll see no parameters inside this section. And this section, when your test case is done, when you're happy with your test case here, you need to provide some information, a header for your test cases. So this could be a change for anything that you need, and it can be customized, and it could be related to a release or a date or anything that you need to see inside for an audit of the testing. So when I create a new, it adds it to the first screen I showed you, but it also asks you if you want to use this test case as a template to create one more test case, so you don't have to recreate it from scratch. So let's use this test case and create another one with different data. So let's say I want to fly to later, and I want to fly to different cities. I just update this, and I change it to iteration 2. And that's it. My second test case is done. And I can make another configuration by going with different admin with different credentials. Let's say I want to go with the admin password and admin user. I'm going to rename it to configuration name 2. And that's it. I have 3 test cases. And if we go back to the main window, I see my 3 test configurations with everything that I've changed, that I've put into it, with the date and the destinations. And you can see that it's linear, command 1, data 1, command 2, data 2, and so on. And if I want to copy this test case, I can do it really easily. If I want to delete selected test cases, I can do it easily as well. And I can save it as either a CSV file or an Excel file. In the case of ALM accepts Excel files, so we save it as Excel, but it could be a CSV file, which could be used with many other tools, many other testing tools. So this is the output of my application. As you can see, everything is there from the comment, the headers that you can customize to suit your needs, the creation date and all the audit information that you need, and the collection of commands and data are there as well, all lined up and ready to be executed inside ALM. So let's see a different example. We'll open a test case with a few more test cases, like 20 plus something, and we will see an example where I want to change one value, and I want to change it in many test cases. For example, let's say that in test environment, I want to switch Paris, which is no longer part of the testing, and I want to switch it to London. But I have many Paris here, so I want to choose them all and modify all of them at once. So let's choose the command that contains this and choose the data that contains Paris. And I'll search the command and I'll update the commands that are selected. So all of these commands will be, so I just want to modify Paris to London, and I can commit it to all the selected test cases, the 9 test cases. And you can see that Paris is no longer there, and it's been replaced by London in 9 test cases all at once. And that's it for the test generation utility that we created.
Thank you. We had the Partner One Software Award for 2015, so from HP. So this is based on ALM, which is an HP product. So it's nice for you to know that you're working with competent people. And this is where I was going. Most companies that are reshoring in America is because it's 2 things. It's because of the currency change, also because of the quality and the rework. The key thing that I want to bring up today is that rework is totally counterproductive when it comes to automation. If you deal with an outsourcer that whenever they're not meeting their objective, their answer is like, add more bodies. If the recipe isn't good in the first place, you can add as many bodies as you want. You won't make it up for the time that is being wasted in maintenance. So just to keep in mind that this is a trend that we see, and that's why our business model is shifting more and more towards outsourcing, because there's a lot of customers that are looking to get a better return out of these projects. So another fact by Gartner is that out of Europe, Asia, and America, Canada is the best place to outsource. The only 2 downside of Canada is the government support and the cost. But because we're based out of Montreal, we get a lot of tax exemption for this type of business. So, and keep in mind that with the dollar exchange, I know there's some American on the line, for the past 2 years, makes it very competitive to deal with a Canadian outsourcer. So that's why we developed that onshore facility. We went through it already, but there's an unmatched expertise in our team. We believe that we have. There's also the ease of use. We have tools that we can provide to the customer. The customer doesn't need to know anything about automation. We can take it from there, right? The fact that we're close by, I mean, anybody can pick up the phone and talk to someone who's working on this project on the same time zone. That's another value that translates into so many different things, and we'll get to that later. But the rework cost when you work on 2 different time zones is a killer, and I'll demonstrate that later on. So can you please mute your line? We'll get to the question later, but I'd like to go through this. So in terms of metrics and visibility, we have a lot of detailed metrics that are based on effort, on coverage, and so on, which you usually don't get offshore. Don't forget that we're also bound in Canada by the NAFTA legal commitment, which come with a certain level of encryption and so on. So that's why it makes it appealing for especially financials that are heavily regulated on this. And anyway, the expertise and the knowledge retention, I don't want to get too much in detail, but our average turnover is 7 years, right, compared to 7 months offshore. So this is also a great value that we have to offer. So what I was talking about was the rework. The fact, whenever you address rework with defect, or it's always the process of dealing through a CMM process offshore is every time you engage, you lose a day, right? So, and according to Forrester, 30% of project costs are related to rework. And according to Meta Group, 70% of rework are attributed to correcting requirements errors. So we can shave half of the time that the process of rework is demanding out of companies. So that being said, if you do, I don't want to bore you with a bunch of numbers, but we can save up to 10-11% of the entire project effort just on rework, just on bringing that back wherever your development is. So again, this is applicable for companies who does development in America. So to go back to the point I was making earlier on, a lot of customers realize that whenever they look into the hourly cost of the resource, the integration effort that is required, the training that they need to put, the benefits, all the transition effort whenever a person leaves, there's a very high value in dealing with a company that is specializing into a field such as automation, making sure that you have a sustainable ecosystem and it makes it easy for your people to document whatever they need to document and take it from there. So this is just to demonstrate that even though the hourly cost of our resources are a little bit higher than offshore, when you look at the communication cost, you look at the traveling cost, but also the rework cost, which is the easiest business case we can build with. It builds a business case. So, and this is also if you consider the efficiency that we can get with tools like the one we show you today. So to wrap it up, we can help you speed, the delivery, the application delivery process that you're engaged with, exceed, expectation. We can help you speeding things up. And the key thing that I know a lot of people would be doubtful of this, but there's a lot of studies that has been made, and testing efforts are huge. It's massive on a project. We're talking about 40 to 60% of the labor costs. At a certain point, a company will spend that type of money somewhere. It doesn't mean it's all going to be in the testing service, but they're going to be spending a lot of money on testing. So if you guys are looking to trim down the costs or improve efficiency, automation is probably it's one of the best options you got right now. So that conclude the presentation.